So, the War Within is just around the corner, guys, and if you haven't chosen your main already, then you're going to want to watch this video. Maybe it will give you another insight into helping you pick your main. If you do find value in the video, please like and consider subscribing. It will be greatly appreciated. First major aspect of choosing a main is going to be the class fantasy and the lore. What sort of class fantasy do you like? Do you like wizards? Do you like magic? Do you like dark magic? Do you like being stealthy? Do you like being up close and personal? Do you like being far away from the battle? If you're someone like me, you just say yes to everything because you're a serial alcoholic and you don't know what you actually like. For example, if you like to be up close and melee, maybe you want to play a feral druid. But if you don't like the class fantasy of a druid, then maybe you'd be better off playing a rogue. Another major aspect to consider when choosing your class is what transmog do you like? There is an entire other world to World of Warcraft revolving around transmog. You can spend your entire time just collecting cool transmogs for your characters. It's an entire minigame in and of itself. What do you like? Do you like heavy plate armor, or do you like more sleek looking leather? I've personally spend a lot of time in the game crafting unique looking transmogs for my characters, and it's one of the things that I really enjoy in the game. It's also one of the reasons why it's very hard to main a druid, because you spend so much time in a form that you don't actually get to see a transmog. But I digress. Having a cool unique transmog that fits you and expresses your personality and what you like can really change how you play the game and how you see your character in the game. It makes more of a difference than you'd think. Class fantasy and lore is a huge part of it as well. If you like unique class fantasies and you don't like the typical archetype like a warrior, rogue or mage or hunter, then maybe you might be more interested in hybrid classes. Hybrid classes in WoW tend to have much deeper and richer lore tied to them, such as the shamans, the paladins and the druids of Warcraft. And they have a much more unique class fantasy and vibe to the class overall. My personal favorite type of class in the entire game are hybrids. I've always played hybrid classes, mainly because of the class fantasy and the fact that I can heal myself. Obviously, pure DPS classes can definitely heal themselves as well, sometimes even more than hybrids, which is a bit of a joke, if you ask me. Anyways, I digress. I've always liked being able to just have a spammable heal on myself, and even being able to help others. Another important topic to consider is what role do you actually want to fill in the game? I feel like 90% of the player base usually prefer DPS, as it's just more fun most of the time and simpler. It's easier and probably more enjoyable. But if you're one of the rare fews that enjoys healing or tanking, then you're one of the lucky ones, because your choice is significantly reduced to only a select few classes and specializations. As if you're a DPS player, you will have to choose between 27 different specs, whereas healers only have to choose between 7, and tanks only have to choose between 6. So if you're a tank or a healer, you most likely know what you want to play. It wouldn't be that much of a challenge. So this is specifically going to be for DPS. So what style of damage do you like? Do you want to be a ranged? The biggest differentiating factor between the damage styles in WoW is ranged or melee. As simple as that. There are many nuances in between this though, but specs are categorized into either one or the other, melee or ranged. Albeit some of the time, some specs are actually a hybrid or a mix of both. For example, a Retribution Paladin has a lot of ranged abilities and could consider to be 50% of the spec to be a ranged DPS. While they are a melee class that uses a sword to attack their enemies up close and personal, majority of their abilities are ranged. So do you like to sit back, cast spells, summon blizzards, cool down rains of fire, cool down stars, shoot out chaos bolts, or pierce enemies with bows and arrows? Or do you prefer to dive headfirst into the action with massive swords or agility and daggers or war blades, dancing around your enemies or crushing them with insane attacks? How do you want your character feel on the battlefield? If you're anything like me, you'd just be saying yes to everything, because I'm someone that personally enjoys both. So this has been one of the biggest struggles of playing WoW, is trying to decide on a main. And honestly, I never really have decided on a main. I pretty much play hybrids due to the content that I like to do, which we'll get into in the next step, being which content do you want to do? Do you want to be PvE focused, or do you want to be PvP focused? If you want to be PvE focused, then maybe you want to go and watch guides or gameplay of the various DPS specs in the War Within beta. There's many YouTube videos that you can go and check out of people posting gameplay, and then get a feel for how it looks, how it plays. And if you guys want any sort of showcase of a class or spec in some sort of form of content, then let me know in the comments below and I can do that, and then I can make that video. Me personally, I like to do all forms of content. I don't like to just stick to one sort of content. I know a lot of players in this game only like one content, majority of them only liking PvE, but there can be a lot of fun had in all forms of content, both PvE and PvP. So maybe you want a class with multiple DPS specs, so that you could be covered for all forms of content, such as a rogue or a mage or a hunter. Therefore, maybe Frost Mage is really good in PvP, but then if you want to do PvE for a day, you can switch to, say, Fire or Arcane, because maybe that's the preferred spec. Maybe you're just looking for that one class or spec that's really good in all forms of content, such as the Retribution Paladin or the Evoker. I've watched countless videos of how to pick your main, how to choose your main, and none of the videos really help me, because they just tell you, they simply just give you an overarching sort of thought process of how to go about it, but don't actually tell you what's actually good here or good there. It's a hard one. I think the best way to go about it is a pros and cons list of each class, and then comparing them side by side. The other side of the coin is maybe you don't even need to pick a main. Maybe you have a lot of time to play the game and you can play a lot of classes. However, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time, then you really want to be focusing on just one specific class. And in my opinion, the best class for that, for someone who doesn't have a lot of time, if you're somebody that wants to experience every spec in the game, you don't have a lot of time, and you enjoy and you just want to experience the content that the game has to offer in various specializations, then you should just choose Druid, because it is the most versatile class for anyone. While it may not be the most beginner friendly, it does not take long. So if you guys want to see any gameplay of a specific class or spec, let me know in the comments down below. And I hope this video maybe shed a bit of insight into helping you choose, or helping you get closer to the decision of what class or what spec you're going to main. Let me know down below your thought process, or even if you've chosen your class. And until then, guys, I'll see you in the next video. I do occasionally stream over at Twitch, so if you guys want to check that out, link will be in the description.